Very excited to be here. And this morning I received an email and I thought I would share it because it's kind of interesting, the content. This is a letter that Charles Fillmore sent out to Unity members in December of 1947. Could have been sent out today. At the very beginning of this letter, I was warned, but let your speech be yea, yea, and nay, nay. There are so many things I'd like to discuss with you. What does the Lord say about the sign of the times? Will there be another war? How about the prophets who say that our civilization is about to end, etc.? Frankly, I've had no direct revelation on any of these points. I only know that our God, who controls this world through its people, is greater and far more powerful than all the destructive folly of the universe. And that if only a few of us stand steadfastly for truth and righteousness, they will prevail, and our civilization will go forward to its fulfillment in the millennium. United in this truth, we shall have a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. In the unity of the Spirit, yours faithfully, Charles Fillmore. I couldn't resist that this morning. I thought, my goodness, when we take a look at the world around us and all that's happened over the last 3 or 4 years, there would be a sense of like, oh no, now what? And what's interesting is that that energy of joy that is deep within each and every one of us as a natural attribute needs only be allowed, risen up within. It's already there. It's something that doesn't need to be created. It's already there. And it comes from an understanding of who we truly are, how we choose to live, and that we begin to see that the divine presence works through us, that what's happening in the world today is really not the end all be all, that what I believe about life, what I believe about my possibilities, that's what moves me forward. When I came up with the title, Joyful, Joyful, I Adore Me, it just made me chuckle. So I'm glad when Marilyn said it made her laugh. I thought, good, that was my hope. The idea of joy is such a natural aspect of our being. I remember when my youngest child was, just a few weeks old, and we had little teddy bears, little white teddy bears hanging above her crib. And what was really interesting one day is as I was leaning over, looking at her, just observing and enjoying the beauty of this wee baby, all of a sudden, it was like she noticed the bears for the first time, and she broke out into this huge smile. And it was obvious that it was something that already existed in her, but it was the bears that triggered that moment of, yes. And I hope that as we move into this holiday season, that we will allow all the little things that come, all the little opportunities that present themselves, to allow that joy to be lit, to be released and revered and revealed through each and every one of us, because we already have it. True and lasting joy actually begins in the mind, right? I don't know if we're all really clear about that, but sometimes when we're watching the news or we're looking at what's going on or what has been the last few years, and, when we watch the news around sick kids and all that, it's like, it can be depressing. And so we're looking at the world, and as Fillmore said, let's let that go and let's look at what's possible, look at what's coming, look what we can create through this infinite power and presence that is operating as each one of us. When we begin to focus our attention there, we begin to create something truly beautiful. So knowing that joy can't be created or destroyed allows me to go, well, what is the key for me? What do I need to do? How do I bring this about? And for starters, I'd say, shut off the news. There's not a whole lot of redeeming information there. And what's fascinating to me is so much of it is editorialized. So it's not the who, what, where, when, why. It's, what if this? What if that? What if the other thing? All these ideas that instill fear. And fear, remember, is false evidence appearing real. What's real in each one of us is our divine nature. What's real in each one of us is that Christ consciousness. We come into this season, and what is this season all about? that rebirth, that reawakening, that remembering that the Christ within is all powerful, that the Christ within each one of us allows us to be all that we were meant to be, and that we don't need to hide or limit ourselves or be fearful and doubting. When it comes right down to it, we're spiritual beings having this human experience. And the human experience has its ups and downs, its bumps in the road. But what's fascinating is when we start to live from a place of true gratitude, true acceptance of each moment, there's a lightness that happens, something beautiful. And when I think about the idea of joy, I think about the contentment that I experience at the end of each day when I realize I've fulfilled whatever I set out to do. And there's a peacefulness around me. There's a comfort in knowing that I've done something for good. So Friday was my birthday. And on that day, I chose to spend it with a group called Toronto PWA, which is an organization, a foundation that supports people living with HIV. And what we did was we put on a big Christmas gala, and I got to serve meals and clean up dishes and do all kinds of things that I never, ever do, something that I'm completely unfamiliar with. And for anybody who has ever worked as a waiter or wait staff, oh my gosh, my hat's off to you, because I could not do that for a living. That 4 hours on my feet was like, I came home exhausted. In fact, I was exhausted yesterday. But beyond the exhaustion, there was elation. It was so beautiful, so joyful, so wonderful to be able to serve a group of people who so often are mistreated or set aside as unimportant, or people are fearful of. And I had this opportunity to just enjoy. And it was the best birthday ever, the best birthday ever. And I got to share it with my family. My husband plays Santa Claus, so he showed up as Santa Claus, and people got to sit on his lap. And, adults will do that, even still. So there was great joy and celebration in being in service. And again, we can look at problems and difficulties and all the things that are wrong in the world, or we can focus on that which is working. And that is that presence within us that is always there, that is always expanding, that is always creating something remarkable. Each one of us has that. So when I came up with the title, Joyful, Joyful, I Adore Me, it's that, play on the old song, but the idea that as I learn to love me as I am, where I am, with what I have or don't have, to be grateful for all of the little possibilities that life has presented, what happens is I become a beacon of light and hope in the world. That I actually can create more joy, more laughter, more fun, more grace, more goodness in the world around me by simply being in that place of love. You can't give what you don't have. You can't give more than, what you already have within you. Excuse me 1 second. There's some noise in my background that I don't know if you can hear it, but hopefully that will stop it. Anyway, my apologies. Joy of working from home, family doing what family does. Joy is a state of mind. So as I said earlier, as we begin to focus our attention on what the mind has, what the mind can do, we can look at each situation from a place of trouble. We can look at it from a place of difficulty, or we can look at it as an opportunity to be more, to do more, to find a way to make the world a better place. And we do that by loving ourselves enough to really present that in the world, to be that light. That song, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." How many of us actually do that? Or do we hide? Do we pretend? Do we hold back? Do we want to say I love you to somebody we've just met who we're just so inspired by? Or do we go, oh, well, that wouldn't be appropriate? I had the privilege of walking along the park one day just off the side of the lake, and there was a gentleman sitting there reading The Godfather, which I read in my teenage years, a million years ago. And I went, oh, wow, great book, better than the movie. And he goes, yeah, it's excellent. And I said, yeah, I think I read that when I was a teenager, like when it first came out. And he goes, oh, it's been around for 50 years. I went, thank you. And then he just laughed. He goes, oh, you look like you're 30. And I went, I love you. So the joy that happens so spontaneously, but we hold that back sometimes, don't we? We allow ourselves to be limited by what if, what if, what if? Well, what if we stopped what ifing in life? And what if we allowed that Christ consciousness, that natural essence, that natural way of being to just be revealed? What if we trusted the moment? What if we trusted the moment? What if we could see love in the eyes of the people around us and know intuitively where we're safe and where we're not? Because I believe we have that within us. We are one with this infinite power, one with this infinite presence. There really isn't anything for us to fear except thinking about all the problems, all the difficulties, all the things to be afraid of. But that's our imagination run rampant. When we can come to a place of acknowledging our gifts and talents and sharing them, when we come to a place of realizing that our true happiness comes from within us, not outside of us, that no one can make me happy except me, and that as I love and appreciate who I am, the gifts that I was born with, as I allow myself to show up in this world in a way that is honoring of all people, as I do that more and more, the world just becomes a better, better, better place. And I feel content. It's like the service I did on Friday night, being with all these people and, feeding meals and organizing the people who would serve up the food. And it was just fun. You see, life is what we make it. Life is what we make it. And we have the opportunity to make it great. We have that opportunity. Have you ever noticed that person who's always smiling, who always has a positive thing to say, that always tells you how good you look, how great your ideas are, and how wonderful you are? You know that person? That's the person you want to hang with, isn't it? Rather than the one who goes, oh my goodness, you look so tired today. What were you thinking when you put that on? Why would you say that? Oh, no, you can't have that dream. That's far too big. I knew a friend one time who tried to do that and it didn't work for them. So probably it's not going to work for you. Our joy gets diminished in the moment that we put our power outside of ourselves. But as we acknowledge that Christ consciousness within, that internal power and that internal presence of God, what happens is we begin to live from that. And as we live from that, we begin to create remarkable things in life and in the world. We begin to release our fear and our judgment and our criticism of ourselves and others. And we begin to celebrate that energy of possibility in life that's within us. When we watch little children, boy, could we learn a lot from little kids. I remember, this is going back a long ways, I remember one Christmas when I woke up Christmas morning and underneath the tree, I got a Barbie doll. Best Christmas ever. Best Christmas ever. I loved that doll. The fact that it was Barbie and I was Barbie, sort of had something. Don't ever call me that, by the way. But it was like this really remarkable time to have this little doll, and it meant so much to me. The joy that came from that, the years of playing with that doll, all of those things meant so much. When I look today at what it is that I desire on Christmas morning, I don't desire a gift. I have enough stuff. I don't desire some grand anything. I look forward to coffee and breakfast with my family, being able to laze around in PJs for a while and to just enjoy the moment of being together with nowhere to go, nothing to do, just that time of peace, contentment. See, true and lasting joy gets expressed in those moments. True and lasting joy happens when we acknowledge the little things, the beautiful things in the world that don't cost anything and don't take us away from our sanctuary. There's a world that we live in that is so busy and so fast and consuming our energy moment by moment, and it will defeat us if we allow it. But deep at the core of us, we know what matters. And it's not about creating the perfect meal or buying the perfect gift. I live far away from my family. I have 2 children in Calgary, 2 grandchildren in Calgary, a great-grandson in Calgary. I have a son in Nova Scotia, and I have my husband and daughter here. All of my siblings are in Calgary. So Christmas here for me is a small event. And it brings great joy. I can sit on the phone. I remember during lockdown, my husband plays Santa Claus every year. During lockdown, when no one could go see Santa Claus, Santa FaceTimed all of the little children in our family, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, one of my nieces who is autistic, my son's grandchildren, or not my son's grandchildren, my brother's grandchildren. We're really aging myself. All of these kids and the joy on their faces when they picked up the phone and saw Santa staring them in the eye. Hey, Jude. Oh, Merry Christmas. It was next level. Cost us nothing. Took moments of time and provided joy that I'm sure those children will be speaking about when they are old and gray. That moment when no one else got to see Santa, but they did. That Santa had taken the time to phone them and be with them. The little things we do in life are the things that bring us the greatest satisfaction. So I want to suggest that, over the next few weeks, maybe just, shut the news off. Whatever's going on, you're going to hear about it anyway, but shut it off so it doesn't become the focus of your attention. Maybe pick up the phone every time you think of somebody that you haven't spoke to in a while. Just pick up the phone and leave a little message saying, you're on my mind. Just wanted to say I love you. 3 little words. 3 little words that sometimes we don't say often enough. 3 little words that sometimes don't want to get past here. We hang on to them for fear they're misunderstood or misconstrued. They're words that should never be held back. They should never be held back. We have an opportunity to create joy in our world. And by creating joy in our world, we actually not only improve our own lives, but we improve the lives of others. I mean, think about the time that you went into a store or into work and somebody stopped you and went, wow, you look amazing today. Or somebody just said, thank you for being here. I'm so happy to see you. These little things light us up. They allow that joy to rise. The song we were listening to, Joy Rising. It rises in others. And interestingly, we feel great when we do that. It brings us immense pleasure to sit back and have that moment where we can see a smile on someone's face. One of my neighbors, beautiful, beautiful man, has been quite ill recently. And I was speaking with his wife, and they were talking about this special dish of food that he would get in his country. He's from Guyana. And the food is called metamji. And I'm like, okay, what is that? Like, I have no idea. So I said to his wife, I said, you know what, maybe I'll try to make it or get my husband to try and make it. And would you send me the recipe? So she did. And I soon realized that neither one of us were ever going to make it. But it just, I really wanted to get this to him. Well, one of the churches that I've been working at for a number of years, one of the women there is, she does all sorts of cooking for different people. And so I messaged her and asked her if she could do this recipe. She's also from Guyana. So she made metamji and gave it to me, and I gave it to my neighbor. A little pot of stew, basically. The look on his face when I handed that container of food to him was probably very similar to when I got my Barbie doll at Christmas. The immense joy, the disbelief, the sense of, I can't even believe you did this. And I quickly said, I didn't do it. I just picked it up from the person who did it. But I felt so happy knowing that all that this man has gone through and all that he'll go through for the next 6-7 months as he heals, this was a gift that took mere moments of my time, but made a huge difference in his life and in his experience. And it brought me so much joy. I can't even tell you how happy it made me. We have an opportunity to be in this world in a new way. We have been consumers for a very long time. Consume, consume, consume. And I think through COVID, one of the things we've discovered is we can't always get what we want when we want it. And so we've maybe are starting to learn that joy and love and peace do not necessarily come from consuming more, but actually from communing more, communing with one another, getting to know our neighbors, getting to spend time with friends and family, spending time in our churches or in our spiritual centers to begin to maybe get to know the people there in a new way, to spend time when we're out in the world to speak to the person who is serving us in the restaurant or in the store, like asking people's names and actually using that name, chatting with them. There's something about consuming that really doesn't uplift, expand, or grow the joy in us, but communing absolutely does. It provides us with contentment and connection. It fuels an energy of love and appreciation, and it actually feels amazing. There's a great joy that comes from that. The little things in life that maybe got pushed back for so many years, but maybe it's time now to reinvent ourselves from a new perspective, to begin to live as joy, as if that's the commodity. What if joy was the thing that we were seeking moment by moment to express? What would be the things we would do to ensure that that occurred? Maybe it would be going to our neighbors and putting out their trash bins, knowing they don't have to struggle with that. Maybe it's smiling at a stranger or sitting in traffic and letting that car come in, not racing to block them, but let them in. Maybe wave and say, hello. Shopping, going shopping, and two of you come to the checkout at the same time. Let the other person go first. What's the hurry? What's the rush? What if making a phone call to someone who's been ill and just listening, or listening to someone's story, even though you've heard it 1,000 times before, listening with great interest because you can. This life that we're living is meant to be lived. We're not here to put in time. We're not here to accumulate a pile of stuff, although when I look around, I know I have. It's a time of sharing. It's a time of caring. It's a time of opening our hearts so that joy can be revealed, not once a year, but 365 days a year. That we begin to look at every moment as a gift, that we get out of bed in the morning and we plant our feet on the ground and we go, wow, a new day. Yes. Now what? What do I get to do? How do I get to be today to really honor this day that I've been given? How can I move forward with such delight and joy that something remarkable occurs for someone else? And as a result, I benefit also. Whenever I see somebody smile because I've said something to them, or when somebody's done something nice for me and causes me to smile, there's an opportunity there. We are in this together. You know, the church's name, you know, unity, unity, unity. What does unity mean? It means oneness. It means oneness. And oneness means that I am one with all that is. Every person, everything, every animal, every insect, everything. There is only one thing. And that one thing is this divine presence. And it's right here where I am, and it's right there where you are. And as I come to a place of adoration for the gifts that I am, for all that I have, for the way that I live, for the possibility of this new day, as I do that, as each one of us does that, contentment, success, joy become the natural states of being. We're here to live, not to park it in front of the TV for days on end, not to play video games until, wee hours of the morning, not to stay stuck in our homes, afraid to go out. We're here to live. And if we are stuck in our homes, then we can pick up the telephone and call a friend, call a neighbor. We can spend time raising love, living peacefully, communing rather than consuming. I invite you this holiday season to really look at how you are in the world and assess if there's something more that you can do to let your beauty shine through, to let your light be a beacon of hope and peace and love in our world, that the joy in you becomes so infectious that everyone around you is catching that virus. If we're going to share a virus, let it be that one. Joyful, joyful, I adore me. Let that be your mantra, that in every moment you honor that Christ in you, that you honor that divinity, and that you share it widely, consistently, consciously. Let us join together in consciousness as we anchor these ideas with meditation. Taking a deep breath in, and one more deep breath. Let us just take a moment in the silence to allow these ideas to filter in, to anchor deep in our consciousness. It is in the silence. It is in the stillness. It is in this moment that I experience contentment. content with who I am, content with life, content with my world. And peace becomes my experience, peaceful in my interactions, peaceful in my connection with others, peaceful in my quiet times. Peace. And with this contentment, with this peace, joy bubbles up. Joy fills me, the littlest thing delights and excites. The smile of a child, the sweet rhythm of music, the sweet embrace of a friend, a stranger, family. This day is a gift and a blessing. And in each moment of each day, as I begin with the intention of living joyfully, lovingly, peacefully, contentment seems to be the reality of that in all things at all times. So I'm fulfilled in life. I feel grateful. So this gratitude expands and grows, and beauty is revealed, excitement and delight, and life is glorious, regardless of the world at large. So as we anchor these ideas in, I know that beauty, joy, love, peace is truly here. And that through the divine within, it is all revealed easily and joyfully. And with a grateful heart, I release these ideas into the law of mind, knowing all is well. Taking a deep breath in, letting it be. And so it is.